You mentioned, and I found that phrase particularly interesting, you mentioned bringing clean technologies in a sensible way. What, according to you, would a sensible way be?
Well, first of all, as you well know, even if you look beyond the area of environment and climate change, there is need for technologies which is available, let us say in the US, in other parts of the world. There is also a need for American companies to protect those technologies in a patent-friendly manner. That's what I mean in a sensible manner. That we need to work towards a win-win where the technologies available need to be conveyed to the emerging economies and be a conduit for them to do what is right for them.
Is that a special point of apprehension at the moment?
No, it is not a point of apprehension, but I think it's a point where people have to be conscious and address it right up front. Otherwise, conveyance of technology and adoption of technology will be delayed. And I can argue that in most industries, technologies have not necessarily gravitated to emerging markets precisely for that reason.
Is that in some senses a bone of contention also between the India and the US?
I guess it's been a bone of contention between the developed world and the rest of the non-developed world, patent protection and asset protection. And I think today there's a common need. Eventually everyone wins if the consumers, irrespective of where they reside, win. And I think those technologies need to be made available to address those consumer needs.
At the moment, of course, in world trade, I mean, India has been, and since that will be the key focus of your work, in some senses in the last couple of years, India has been called the bad boy of international trade. In India-US commercial ties, trade ties, will that change, or is that a sense in Indo-US trade and commercial ties too?
Let me answer it in a slightly different way, in a practical sense. I ran businesses of Johnson & Johnson, Warner Lambert, Pfizer, all American companies and Fortune 100 companies at that time in emerging markets. Now, we never saw the emerging markets, including India, as the bad boy. We always saw as a great market. Yeah. And we always saw how can we bring the products and technologies and the expertise we have and make it available. Now, it wasn't an altruistic sense. It was definitely a business sense. But at the same time, it met consumer needs in this country. So I think it's very much that approach. As to WTR and those type of things, I wouldn't be able to answer in any cogent manner at this point in time. And I'm sure good people are looking at those aspects. But there is a need in these markets, and there are products and technologies available. And there is a responsibility for political apparatus on both ends to make sure that the consumer gets what they need.
Okay, one of the first things that in the world of trade and commerce that one heard from President Obama, I think at the time it was still candidate Obama, was this entire thing about Buffalo versus Bangalore. It's a phrase that's sort of stayed in many minds. Is that debate still relevant at all? Because some people believe it's an inevitable thing now. I mean, outsourcing, as it is locally called, is something that's an irretrievable process now. This entire debate between Bangalore versus Buffalo means nothing at the moment. What do you really feel about that?
Well, the entire issue of free trade has been, no one has doubted the need for free trade, but it has been contentious nevertheless. I think the issue really is, do we have free and fair trade? And free and fair trade really talks to, again, some of the issues we've gone into, patent protection, asset protection, and also working to the same standards. The end objective of global trade is to benefit all. It's not to benefit selectively. So I think phraseologies like Buffalo and Bangalore or Delhi and Darfur maybe nice phraseology, but it's just that. I think we need to go beyond the sound bites to what can be as to what cannot be.
Do you sense that that divide that I was referring to in the Buffalo-Bangalore debate, is there still a sense, especially coming as it does post a gigantic recession, that there is still a sense that jobs are moving out of the US to places like India, and that would be an area of concern in the future?
The global economic recession has really heightened the antennas everywhere.
Certainly.
And whether it's the US or Europe for that matter, everyone looks at charity begins at home. And there is concern if jobs gravitate elsewhere in what would be termed as unfair manner. That said, the opportunity for job creation exists everywhere. India, for example, is growing at a tremendous growth rate. I wish we could say that of Europe or the US, which is not the case. So I think there is some degree of individuals who lose jobs have concern, and they have the right to have that concern. And I think that's what you've picked up in media. And sometimes these things are hyped beyond what they really need to be. And there are selective stations and selective anchors who play to the tune. And let's leave it at that. You know, I've always enjoyed a quote which says that borders visited by trade rarely need soldiers. That's right. And that's what it is. I think this has less to do with creating artificial borders and trade. It's opening up the trade borders.